In this increasingly noisy world, we live in illusion that to be considered meaningful, we have to keep talking, explain yourself, or even show off our achievements. Everyone is racing to show who they are. Through the sound is getting louder, social media full of spotlight, or words that are endless. But to be honest, does it really make you look more valuable, or just the opposite? Let's face it, most people don't care how much you talk, because at the end of the day, your value does not lie in what you say, but at what you do. What do you show without having to pay attention? Ironically, the harder we try to look, means the more obvious our insecurities. Imagine this, you're in a room full of people. They were talking non-stop, proud of their achievements, but in the corner there is someone who is silent, but his existence feels. It doesn't call for attention, but people respected him. His silence is not a sign of weakness, but rather a symbol of assertiveness. You know what sets him apart from the rest? A meaningful silence. Philosopher. Stoicism teaches that true power is not, needs to be announced. Mark Aurelius once said, "Silence is the power for those who master it." In silence there is clarity, there is assertiveness, without drama. So Bray, if you ever feel tired, because they kept trying to, proving your worth through words, maybe it's time to stop. Let silence work for you. In this video, we're gonna go over 9 ways to use the art of being still, to show you who you really are, to the closest people, without a word. What exactly are your values? Is it measured by how much you speak, or how hard you try to explain yourself to others? The modern world often confuses us with the wrong standard of value. Career, education, or followers on social media made a measure of. But let's be honest for a second. Self-worth is not that simple. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor and Stoic philosopher, ever wrote, "One's worth does not depend on the opinions of others, but in itself." That means your value is something that is inherent, not something that can be taken away or given someone else. But often we forget this. We're stuck in the game of proving ourselves. Hope others see how precious we are. Let's change perspective. Your value is not about what you have, but how do you choose to live your life? Have you ever seen someone who's secretly working hard, not looking for compliments, yet everyone knows he is a reliable figure? That's true self-worth, something visible in your actions, not from your words. When you understand this, you'll realize you don't need to explaining who you are. That value will be emitted through your attitude, through your calm. People who actually care about you does not require noisy proof. They will see what you are. And those who don't care, they don't even deserve your attention. So step first to show your worth without saying a word is to understand that you are worth. No need to search. No need to explain. Enough there's enough do. And just be yourself. Have you ever felt that the world, it's constantly testing your patience? Sometimes it feels like everyone around you are waiting for the moment where you lose control or blurt out words that you will later regret. But therein lies the secret. Those who are really understanding self-worth is not easily provoked. They keep their honor. In silence, dignity is not something you can claim with a loud voice. You can't stand in the crowd and say, "I'm a dignified person." No, it weakens you. Dignity is something that looks in the way you carry yourself, in your calmness when facing insults, and in the way you choose not to involve yourself in unnecessary drama. Philosophy of Stoicism teaches us to master our emotions are not the other way around. A Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, once said, "No, anyone can hurt us without our consent." It means contempt, criticism, or even disregard from others. will only hurt us if we let it inside us. Imagine a mirror. If the mirror is cracked, any shadow that comes in will look distorted. But if the mirror is intact, it will reflect everything clearly, without absorbing anything. That's how we should keep our dignity intact, not cracked, and being able to reflect all negative energy without letting it in. When you choose silence in the face of emotionally provoking situations, it's not a sign of weakness. Instead, it's a form of power. You shows that you don't have to prove yourself to anyone, that your dignity is worth more than winning. Empty argument. Dignity is not something given by someone else. It is your own decision to stay calm, to stay respectful to yourself, even when the world tries to pull you down. And this is how you can show your worth without a word, by keeping your honor in meaningful silence. We often hear that communication is important, but what we actually communicate when we are silent, you might think, but I'm not talking. How can I say anything? Well, here lies the greatest power. Silence in the context of Stoicism does not mean indifference or ininvolvement. It's a much more in-depth form of communication, philosophical teaching that there are many things that can be said without the need for words. In silence, we send a message about who we are. Our actions speak louder than our words. So what people can see when you're still, maybe they'll see the calm in your eyes, strength in your body stance, or wisdom in the way you deal with situations. Imagine this situation. You're in a tense meeting with people arguing with each other to show who's smarter. While they get caught up in the debate, you just sit quietly, listen to, and not get carried away. Without saying a word, you've conveyed a much stronger message than anything they can pronounce. You show that you are unshakable by external noise, that your value not defined by what others say or do. Epictetus stresses that we cannot control what other people do, but we can control how do we respond. When you choose to be silent in an emotionally charged situation, you control the mood and your response, and it's an incredible form of strength. This is the art of nonverbal communication that just can be understood by those who really understand the value of self. And interesting, the more we learn to go deep into communication, the more we understand that in the silence, we didn't lose anything. We get more attention, more respect, and more influence. Silence doesn't mean no, but silence is the way to make your existence feel deeper and more full of meaning. There's one thing we often forget in this life, that we don't have to live in, place, or in a relationship that doesn't value us. This world, too big to waste time on situations that devalues us. And this is where caress, the importance of learning to be ready to go without needing to explain why. Often we feel trapped in relationships or situation out of fear that if we go, we will lose something, maybe friendship, status, or comfort. But what we're really arguing about, whether it's our pride that's more important or dependence on something that actually no longer grades, add to our lives. Stoicism teaches us to look at discomfort with constancy. As Beniko once said, nothing hurts more than staying in a place that doesn't fit with us. In this fast-paced world, we often lingering too long in the wrong place, hoping things will get better or change. But in reality, with only leave something that doesn't lead us to a better place, we can appreciate our value with a deeper. Preparing to leave does not mean running away. It is an act of courage that is full of self-control. You showed that you wouldn't let anything or anyone damages your pride. When you know when to back off, you make room for better things, more meaningful, and more in line with who you really are. In silence, when you choose not to engage further, you are preparing yourself for leaving something that no longer brings peace or growth. You showed that you wouldn't let any damaging your inner calm, and it's a sign of true strength, the courage to go. Calmly and without regret is a Stoic way of showing self-worth. That is a practical step that not only changes the life, but also maintains true dignity and self-respect. Have you ever felt that the people around you don't know when to stop? Maybe it's the boss who continue to give more work, friends who ask for help without stopping, or even families that are constantly involve you in their drama. Why would they do? Maybe because they feel like you're always available. But this is where it lies. Setting boundaries is not about saying strong or loud words. It is art in silence. Why words often fail in this? Because people are more likely to hear actions from empty words. When you learn not to always respond or fulfill any request, you unknowingly telling other people that there are boundaries that cannot be broken. This boundary is not a wall that get in the way of relationships, but a marker indicating that there is room for self-respect to be preserved. In the philosophy of Stoicism, the limit is tools to protect inner peace. As taught by Mark Aurelius, honor comes from our attitude against yourself, not from what others expect. When you set boundaries without needing to say a word, you're actually building a sense of respect from others without engaging in debates or negative feelings. You take care of yourself without having to prove that you deserve respect. It's obvious from your actions. Imagine you're in a long conversation and exhausting, where somebody else keeps making requests without watching your comfort. You're not need to be angry or speak in a high tone. Quiet enough, stay calm and make room. Slowly people will begin to realize that you won't always respond as they expected. That's the power of limits without words. Boundaries that send messages much more powerful than any words. When you do, you're showing that you put yourself first, not because of selfish, but because you know that just by keeping yourself, you can be more useful to others. The limits you set in this silence is one of the best ways to show your worth to the people that are important in your life. We live in an age where the words, often more than action, people competing, showing achievements on social media, proclaiming the great cause, or promise sky high. But let's be honest, how often the words, it's actually accompanied by action. This is where Stoicism gives us an important lesson. True value does not need to be announced. It looks through what we do. Imagine this. There are two people who both want to be considered reliable. One constantly talks about how loud, speed, while others just shut up and work in silence. When the end result looks, who is more respected? Surely who let his actions speak. Why? Because humans naturally trust evidence more than promises. Epictetus once said, "Don't just talk about your principle, live them." This means that what we do, even in the little things, is a reflection of who we really are. When you choose to help others without expecting compliments, when you keep learning and thrive without feeling the need to flaunt it, when you perform your duties with integrity without asking for a confession, that's where your values shine. Simple example of someone who continues to work hard to support his family without complaining or indulge in his struggle, or a friend who is always present when we need, even without saying much. We respect them not for their words, but because of the concrete actions that they show. They prove their worth without needing to talk, and that's what makes them unforgettable. In the silence, our actions be the clearest message. No need to prove anything through big words. Just do your best, and people who actually care will see it. It's a silent way of showing that we has true value, not because we want to be recognized, but since we know what we're doing is the right thing. Have you ever noticed how we tend to accept what people say without much thinking, as if every word that comes out of someone's mouth is the absolute truth? But caress in a world full of with opinions and bias, what is really worth is often not what is said, but rather what is not said. And this is where the art of stillness plays its part. A wise skeptic does not mean to doubt everything or be cynical. It is the ability to listen quietly, filtering information, and judge whether something is truly relevant or just plain noise. In Stoicism, It's a form of mind control, deep, as Ayaka said, not because of things. It's hard so we don't dare, but because we dare not, so that things get hard, meaning that often we're caught in an illusion created by the sayings of others because we believe it too soon. Imagine that there's someone who confidently says, "This is the only way to succeed." Wise skepticism makes you indirect, swallowed his words raw. Instead, you shut up, contemplating and questioning. Is it true that's the only way? Is he speaking from experience, or just repeat what he has heard? In silence, you shows that your grades are not lies in how fast you react, but on how deep you think. In everyday life, this attitude looks like this. When someone gives advice or criticism, you didn't immediately defend yourself or say yes. You listened to, analyzing, and decided whether it is relevant to the principle and your goal. Your silence shows that you have control over yourself, that you're not getting carried away by other people's opinion currents. By developing a thoughtful skepticism, you show your loved ones that you are not only a good listener, but also a deep thinker. You value their opinion, but you're also pretty confident to filter out what's really important. It is a silent way to show that your mind is worth a lot without needing to say much. There's one thing that's often hard to do by many people: saying no, either because of fear, disappointing, feel bad, or simply want to avoid conflict. We often choose to say something that we don't really want, but caress. This is where the silence speak louder than words. Silence in the form of firm but calm rejection is one of the classiest ways to show that you understand, value yourself. Imagine this: someone asked you to for doing something that is not in line with your principles or even violate your personal boundaries. What usually happens? Most of us would explain at length, defend yourself, or give a multi-layered reason so that others understand. But is it really necessary? In many cases, a simple rejection with a firm attitude, but staying calm, is more than enough. Mark Aurelius once said, "If it wasn't necessary, don't do. If it's not true, don't say." This is the essence of dignified denial. You don't have to make drama or excessively defend yourself. A not that full of confidence, accompanied by a steady silence, already showed that you respect yourself. You tell the world, without words, that your time is precious and that you won't succumb to pressure that doesn't need. For example, when a friend asks for help to thing that they can actually do on their own, you can refuse with a smile and just say, "Sorry, this time I can't." No need for a long explanation. With your silence after that, you showed that your decisions not up for debate. And interesting attitude like this, it makes others respect your boundaries more. Flatly refused and quiet also teaches something bigger to the people around you, that it's okay to take care of yourself. It's not about being selfish, but about understanding that we can't provide value to others if we constantly sacrifice our own value. And in the end, this is true love to yourself and to those who actually care about you. Have you ever felt that whatever you're doing, as if the world never really paying attention, a feat celebrated momentarily, then forgotten? Or maybe you've wondered, if I'm not recognized, am I really worth? This question is reasonable, but it could be a trap. Value yourself, Bray. Never depend on the number of other people's cheers. Self-respect, without pursuing confession, is a difficult yet profound art. Many of us get caught up in the illusion that validation external is concrete evidence from success, but Stoicism teaches the opposite, that true recognition comes from within. Mark Aurelius wrote, "Don't give a fuck what other people think of you, as long as you know that your actions are right." Imagine a carpenter who spends hours to create an perfect wooden table. He knows every detail, every corner, and every stroke of it. But once that table is done, that table may never get the compliments that deserve. What he should do: regret the effort, or remain proud of the work he has produced. A Stoic will choose the second. How to respect yourself without pursuing confession is to focus on what you can control: business process and principles. Do you give your best, Whether what you do is aligned with your grades. If the answer is yes, then someone else's confession is just a bonus, not the main goal. When you're not actively seeking validation, something magical happened. The people will start to see you as someone who stands firm and confident. Your silence, which is not filled with pleas, attention, or recognition, it becomes the most tangible proof of your value. It's not about showing off, but about having a silent belief, yet sturdy, that you're worth unconditionally, without compromise, and without having to be told by anyone. With respect for yourself, without pursuing confession, you show your loved ones that you have the determination. They will see, without you even saying a word, that you're somebody who loves herself in a healthy. That is the strongest form of love that you can show them. In the end, we often forget that the greatest power in life doesn't always come from words, but rather from a sincere act and meaningful silence. In a world full of noise, people who can speak through their silence is a person who really understands her worth. The philosophy of Stoicism reminds us that life is not about how hard we try to explain who we are, but about how well we live what we believe in. By mastering the art of silence, you don't just show your worth to loved ones, but also into a reflection of constancy and difficult wisdom found in the modern world. 4. Start to talk less but meaningful. Show love without excessive promises. Show the principle without a long debate. And show your worth without saying nothing, because sometimes it's the silence that makes us sound. And there, without sound, you have said everything.